Thank you so much. I'm Michelle Doster. I am the general manager for Lake Ligonor Association. I have been a community manager since 2011. I got my start at Property Management People in Frederick County as a portfolio manager. I did not have any community association management experience when I started. And I spent 4.5 years with PMP, and then I transitioned to Claggett Management and started doing some commercial management in addition to community association management, and also got my real estate license. And then I only spent a couple years there and figured out that that really wasn't for me because I'm not very good at sales. I'm not a salesperson by nature. So got back into full-time management. And that's when I accepted my position here at Lake Ligonor. And I've been here since 2017 as an on-site manager for a large-scale community. I also have a bachelor's degree in business and an MBA, and also have been certified in a few other things, real estate being one of them, as well as mediation. So extra things just to help you along the way, erosion and sediment control, certified in that, various things, and we'll jump into a little more of that later. I just wanted to give you a little taste of how I got here. I've also been a part of CAI since I started community management in 2011. It's an extremely valuable organization, and the Chesapeake chapter. I've gotten to participate in a lot of different committees and events, and learned a great deal of information from a lot of people who have been doing this far longer than I. So don't want to delay too much or spend too much time talking about myself. Just if we could show of hands, how many of you are in, if I can't see all of you, so if you wouldn't mind turning on your cameras, that would be great. I think we could have much better conversation if we can all see each other. Few people not feeling like it. If you could let me know, how long have you been a community manager? You can put it in the chat, or you can do it by a show of hands. 1 to 2 years. More than 3, 5 years or more. We've got how many? You guys tell me how long you've been managers. Let's see. I see I've got 5. Julie, thank you for letting me know. 5 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 to 2 years. Okay, great. That's exciting. So you're learning a lot. It's as a community manager, you get to learn a little bit about a lot of different things. So it's definitely a fun industry, and it is essentially recession proof, which is wonderful because, you know, even if people don't pay their dues during a recession, the association still has to operate, right? So it's a great career if you want to make it a career. It certainly can be one that is life-sustaining long-term. So the reason we're here today, this is part 1 of a 3-part series of becoming a professional manager. And we're going to talk about conveying your professionalism. There we go. And this is a little bit of a roadmap. So what we're going to talk about today is your personal presentation. And it does matter. It matters a great deal because first impressions mean a lot. Your credentials, and not just CAI credentials, but other credentials that might help you along the way as well. Name recognition and how you get that and what that can mean for you. Trustworthiness, and then we'll do some Q&A. And as we go through this, I would love for you to participate in conversation. It doesn't have to be just me talking to you or at you. I want you to engage and let's talk about these things and explore these topics together. I'm sure we can learn from each other. So first and foremost, personal presentation. Dress, and I'm not standing up so you can't see very well, but I am wearing a dress today, and I'm either wearing a dress or I'm in a uniform, which for us at Lake Ligonor on site is a pair of nice pants or a skirt with a logo shirt. So what you wear and how you present yourself makes a difference. So even if you're on camera like we are today in a Zoom meeting, you need to be dressed and presentable. Even if it's just for a quick meeting with your staff, if you're on site. So I have staff meetings every Tuesday, And even if when we were in the midst of COVID and everybody was at home, I still got up and I got myself ready as if I was going to come into the office. I put on my dress or my uniform, and I have my camera on, and I am presentable and ready to go so that it looks like it matters. It's important to me. And first impressions mean a lot. So what you wear and how you dress does make a difference. So whether so for example, when I worked for PNP, we had a requirement for business dress. So even the guys had to wear ties for most of the year, except for the hot months in the summer. And then like at Claggett, it was casual. You could kind of wear what you wanted. But there's a big difference in how you present yourself and how people are going to respond to you and treat you. So if you look at some of the pictures that I have here in dress, I know this is kind of personal preference or really personal perception, so to speak. But to me, if I want to give my business to someone and I'm entrusting someone with potentially millions of dollars, how someone has presented themselves to me can certainly make a difference in whether or not I have a sense of trust. And I know, again, that's personal preference, but your appearance and how you present yourself makes an enormous difference as to whether or not your board is going to have confidence in you, whether or not the members of that community are going to have confidence in you, and the respect that they will show you. So, if I'm walking around a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt, I'm probably not going to glean the same confidence and respect as if I'm standing there in a business outfit, or if I'm wearing a uniform, so to speak. Because even if it's just a uniform and it's just pants and a logo shirt, you're showing them that you're there and that you're engaged and that your job matters and that you're ready to work. The other side of that is not just what you're wearing and how you're presenting, but it's your posture and how that speaks to them. So for example, you're sitting in your chair in a meeting. I'm sitting up in my chair right now, but if I was kind of just chilled back and relaxed like this, it might not look like this is as important to me or that it matters to me quite as much. So your posture and how you stand and how you hold yourself and how you engage with your members and your board speaks volumes as well. It shows, again, that you're there, that you're ready to work, that you're engaged, and that it's important to you. Same thing for facial expressions. My children all tell me all the time, Mom, you have a horrible RBF because you just look so angry. And so I have to be cognizant of that. Even now, over a decade in, I have to be very cognizant of my facial expressions when members are talking to me or my board is talking to me, especially if you're sitting in a meeting and that person may not necessarily be talking to you, but you're listening. You really have to watch your facial expressions because, you see like Judge Judy, I put her picture on here because she's famous for her facial expressions, boy, and rolling her eyes and just, really? And it matters. And you can tell exactly what she's thinking by those facial expressions. And you don't want, you have members that might come in to speak to you or at a board meeting. So for example, that, you've probably talked to them 1,000 times and you've given them the answers and they're just not happy with your answer. So they've come to the board and they are just going to complain and complain and complain about how you're not helping them. And you're just like, yeah, okay, I have helped you. I've talked to you 15 times in the last 2 weeks. You just don't like what I'm saying. And you can't display that, right? So you have to make sure that you keep your facial expression not necessarily neutral. Perhaps you smile, whether you're talking on the telephone or even in person. If I'm smiling the whole time I'm talking to you or smiling at you while you're talking, it conveys a very different message than if I'm standing there with my arms crossed or I have a scowl on my face or I'm rolling my eyes. So those are the types of things that are, as for personal presentation, that will help you tremendously as you move forward because they will help you glean the confidence and respect of your board members and the people that you are serving. Does anybody want to share, an example of how one of these things is either helped or hurt or caused problems for them, or maybe made a difference in a positive way for them? No? Everybody's quiet today. That's okay. I'll keep going. Okay, so let's move on to credentials. So we all know education, education, education. We've probably all heard that since we were young, and how important it is. Well, it is. And it's not just your high school education or your college education, but these are all things that you want to talk about when you are selling yourself. And in this industry, you are selling yourself and your experience and your knowledge and your credentials. So when you are interviewing for a position, or you're thinking about how you might want to get from a portfolio manager to an on-site manager, what things can you do to help yourself stand out? So your college, put that on there, note that, let them know that you went to college. Did you graduate? What your degree is in, because all those things matter, and it doesn't necessarily need to be management or hospitality. It can be a wide variety of things. Finance, there are lots of managers that have various types of degrees that help them get where they are. So whether it's engineering, accounting, business, even if you don't think it's relevant, it probably is. And then, or trade school, again, we have to know a lot of things, a little bit about a lot of things. So any experience or training that you have is very, very relevant. So always include every bit of education that you have. So for one of the things, I'm going to skip the middle, but jump over to designations. So CAI, you can get several designations. CMCA is the first, your AMS, PCAM, and then large scale manager. I encourage you to work towards those that you can. The CMCA, AMS, and the PCAM are a little easier to attain than the LSM. They do take time, obviously, and some coursework completion through CAI. They are well worth it because you learn a lot along the way. And then the large scale manager, that takes a little more time and some specified experience working on site at a large scale community, but it's certainly achievable. And I would encourage you to strive for those things. Other things like real estate license, property management professional, PMP, human resources designations, any of those things can help you. In addition, some of the other designations, as I mentioned, I have erosion and control, sediment control certification. I have dam management safety certifications because we have a high hazard dam here at Lake Leeganor. I also, so back to that middle work experience, things that you would not think of would help you. So some of the best employees that I've seen worked in a restaurant and just had that customer service skill set and have been very good at just working with people and reading people and communicating with them. And of course, have that fast-paced momentum behind them to get through this. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this industry is extremely fast-paced, and there is never a dull moment. So having that experience is certainly helpful. One of the other things that I had experience in is I worked for FEMA. I worked for the Federal Emergency Management Institute before I became a community manager. And working with FEMA, you learn a lot about floodplains and dams and things like that. So that helped me, believe it or not, get my job here at Lake Leeganor, because Lake Leeganor has a lot of flood zone, and we also have lakes, and we have 4 dams. So some experience, every bit of experience that you can put on your resume to help set yourself apart from other candidates is extraordinarily helpful. even if you don't think it is relevant, I can almost bet that somehow any type of work experience that you have is going to be relevant to this industry, whether it's plumbing or electrical or some kind of construction or administrative, finance. Like I said, working in a restaurant, working at a daycare center. Some of the things that you would not think would be relevant at all really do have some relevance. So put everything on there and make sure that you help yourself shine and set yourself apart.
Michelle, can I make a quick comment?
Of course you can.
What you're saying about designations, because I'm president of a management company, I do a lot of hiring of managers. And we're looking for those designations when we're going to hire people. Those are always preferred, but I would also tell you that our client communities are asking for managers that have those designations. And what's really key to all of the new managers is that they pay more for those. So your marketability and your earning capacity is going to be very much tied to whether or not you have those designations. So, and the pay gap is enormous. So that's another good reason for you to really pursue all of those.
Thank you, Susan. And I will add to that just a little bit. I would not have been able to compete for my position here at Lake Ligonor if I did not have my PCAM. So that's one of the things that certainly sets you apart. It takes a little bit of time to achieve that. And I will tell you that PCAM course and what you have to submit to achieve it is not easy, but it is well worth it, and it is attainable. And as Susan said, it will help you tremendously if you pursue it. It could certainly pay off, not just in promotion, but in dollars and cents for you as well. Let's see. So name recognition. So one of the things that's going to help you in this industry is name recognition. So how do you get that? Through volunteerism. Get involved in your community. So most of the time you're going to manage portfolios unless you're driving far for work. And there are some people that do that. And I applaud you for that. I'm not that person. I can't do it. So I usually work where I live because, one, I get to do this. I get to have this volunteerism. It's one, self-fulfilling for me, but that's personal. But it also puts my name out there in so many different genres and aspects of the community. So get involved in volunteer organizations and give your time, because people remember that. And it's also going to allow you to meet people that you may not have necessarily met that can help you grow. Whether it's, there are people that I've met working through the school, so the PTA, or Blessings in a Backpack, donating time in some of the schools here in Frederick County, through Glade Valley Athletic Association in particular. My children played sports, so I sat on the boards for some of the athletic organizations, and then through church and donating time. Why? Because those people live in communities. And you might realize that one of those people sits on the board for the community in which they live. And you at some point may be competing, as Susan was saying, to be the manager of that community. And if you've shown that you are a volunteer-oriented person, that you care about your community, that you're trustworthy, that you're reliable, and they've had an opportunity to work with you, it's going to help you. And again, it's in moving it just from volunteerism in those types of organizations, but volunteering for other committees and boards as well. Volunteer to serve on CAI committees. Do it. Not just because it's good for your career, but because it will help you make connections and help you learn and grow. It's also required if you're going to get greater designations. So when you go to get your PCAM, or if you have the opportunity to get your LSM for a large scale manager, you have to have served and on some of these committees, and even in leadership roles. on some of these committees. If you haven't looked at some of these applications, I encourage you to do so. Do it ahead of time so that you know what you need to fulfill the requirements. And serving on a CAI committee or board is something I encourage you to do, because it's going to help you in so many ways. In addition, similar to the volunteering in churches and athletic groups, serve on your chamber, join your chamber of commerce, join the United Way board if you can, join the Rotary, get involved, because again, you're making those professional connections with not necessarily people that are in the community management industry in some of those, but they are important people in the business environment, in the community. And again, they live typically in the communities that you may have the opportunity to manage. And the more connections you make, the more name recognition you have, provided that it's positive and you're putting your best foot forward and giving them a positive impression and working hard, it's going to help you in the long run. And then networking. So there's CAI, again, has a great opportunity for networking with people in our industry. There are message boards for portfolio management, which is, your normal, smaller, traditional HOA communities. And then there's a large scale network as well. And you can only be part of that if you manage or are participating in a large scale community. But they are there to help you. And they are there to help you not have to reinvent the wheel. And then you can also help them as well. So I've had the opportunity and the pleasure of helping other people that sit in the same position I am for another community, and vice versa. And it really does create a sense of community in and of itself when you get to talk to other managers and trade experiences and feedback and best practices. That is going to help you through your career from now all the way to the end. It's I have to rely on them now, even with over a decade of experience. You're still learning every single day. Something new comes up that you have never dealt with before. I promise. Even after, I'm sure Susan can attest to this, after multiple decades in this industry, something is going to come up that you have to reach out to your fellow managers and get some insight or some feedback.
And Michelle, the other thing I would mention that is one thing that I see a lot with new managers is that they're a little bit overwhelmed. They're busy, they're running. You may not yet have figured out how to manage all of your time. And what I hear from them a lot when I talk about these kinds of things is, I don't have time. I'm really busy. I'll do that later. And they give so much to their customer that they don't do enough for themselves. And every professional in every profession makes time for these things. So you look at the lawyers who go to the law seminar every year, they have to get re-credentialed. Accountants have to get re-credentialed all the time. So as a professional, this is part of what you should see as your responsibility to yourself. And you don't give everything to your company. You don't give everything to your client. You have to carve out time for yourselves and make sure that you do for yourselves the thing that you should to demonstrate your professionalism.
Thank you, Susan. I can certainly, let's relate it to, something personal. For me, I'm a mom. I have 8 kids. And if I don't carve out some time for self-care, right? No matter how busy I am and how much I'm running, I work a full-time job and a household. But if I don't take a minute for myself, I'm not going to be the best mom I can be. So the same applies in business. If you don't take time out for growth, for self-care, for I guess self-growth is really it. If you don't take the time out for that, you're not going to be the best community manager or professional that you can be. And I promise that the more time you ensure that you do these things, the easier it's going to be to manage your time, because you're learning. So you're not going to have to spend as much time researching and digging for answers, because you've taken time to really grow your knowledge base and grow yourself as a professional. And then you've taken the time to make those connections so that it's a quick, easy email or a quick, easy phone call to someone who can probably give you the answer you're looking for. Whereas if you didn't take the time to get this name recognition, to do the networking, to participate in the online forums, to attend the conferences, or to volunteer and make those connections, you're going to spend 10 times more time trying to glean the information that you could probably have at your fingertips. One of the other big things about growing yourself as a professional is ensuring your trustworthiness. And I usually work on the 80-10-10 rule, for anyone. 80% of the people are really good, and I know they're going to do their best to be as honest as they can the majority of the time. And then 10% of the people are going to lie to me every chance they get and make things up and not going to be trustworthy at all. And then there's 10% of people that I know that will die on the sword to be honest, and are going, they're not using an extra paper clip that's not theirs. They're not using an extra piece of paper that's not theirs. So, but for you, the point here is your board and your members need to look at you like you're in that top 10% that are going to be reliable, punctual, trustworthy, and that you're not going to make things up. So for your workday, be on time, be early, because you want to set yourself apart and you want to show when you can. I don't know, everybody can't be early every day. You can't. And every once in a while, you're going to have that day when you're running 5-10 minutes late. But for your meetings, for whether they're board meetings, committee meetings, one-on-one meetings with another staff member or a member of your community, because I do that frequently, meet individually with people who live in the community, make sure you are on time, whether it's in person or whether it's via Zoom, whatever it may be punctual. Use your technology to help you. Use your calendars, use your reminders. Every tool that you have, use it, because the last thing you want to do is to be late for a meeting with someone with whom you are trying to make a positive impression. They want to know that you're going to be there on time when you say you're going to be there. That kind of follows in with do what you say you're going to do, always. If you tell a member of one of your communities that you are going to get back to them by 5 p.m. on Friday, do it. Because if they don't believe you, that you're going to do something for them, they're not ever going to believe you. So anytime you tell them you're going to do something, they're not going to trust that you're going to do it. And that's going to affect your professional growth. Because you want those people to be able to say positive things about you when it comes time for your review, especially your board members. I don't know if Susan does this, but I know that Ed Thomas did this and Claggett did this. Ed Thomas is the owner of Property Management People. But each year, he would send a survey to the board members for the communities that I managed. And they would have to give feedback to him about me. Well, if I don't show up on time for meetings and I don't follow through with tasks that they've given me or promises that I've made to them, I can only imagine their review would not be very, very positive either. So if you tell them you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to get back to someone by a certain time, do it. If they ask you to get back to them by a certain time and you don't think you can, tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I don't feel like I can do a proper I could do my due diligence and get an accurate response to you by this date. However, I do feel like I can get it to you by this date. Would you be amenable to extending the time frame to them to this point? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be sure, because in the end, they just want whatever it is they're asking complete. Because, and I tell them, I'd rather give you the whole picture than a partial picture, because I want you to make an educated decision, right? And they want that too. In fact, they're obligated to do that, to make an educated decision. And, speaking of decisions, if they've asked you a question or asked you for a piece of information, don't guess. It's the worst thing you can do, because I promise you, somebody's going to prove you wrong. If you're wrong, somebody's going to prove you wrong. So don't guess and don't make it up. If you don't know, say, I don't know, I'm not sure. However, I can get the answer and I can get back to you. It's never a good idea to just kind of pull something out of the air or guess. I tell my board, if they ask me for a number, I say, I don't have that in front of me, and I don't want to guess. When I get back to the office or tomorrow morning when I get in the office, I'd be happy to check for you and I will shoot you an email. Because I have community members here, they live for that. They live for trying to find a way to prove me wrong or to catch me in a mistake. And it's not because they just don't like me. It's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes there's always going to be that one person that is looking for a mistake, that's looking to point it out, and they will. So you don't want to be caught in that. You always want to give as accurate answer as you can. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes unknowingly, and that happens to all of us. We're all human. But if you know you don't know, that's the answer you have to give. I don't know, but I will get you the answer. You just don't want to guess. And guys, please chime in. If you have experiences or things that you want to share or questions about anything we're going over, please don't hesitate and chime in. I don't want this to be just me talking at you the whole time.
I think what Michelle said is perfect, where it's okay to say, I don't know, but don't let that in there to say, I don't know, but this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to find the answer, or this is who I'm going to call. Either it's the insurance agent or a legal counsel or reaching out to another industry professional, so that they see the concreteness of an action item being performed. It's always okay to say, I don't know, because there's no way we can know everything. But for me, building that trusting relationship has always been saying, and this is what I'm going to do about it. So I think that's perfect advice.
I think also managers can anticipate some of those questions. So if the board is going to review an audit and you don't really feel confident about your ability to tell people what's in that audit, bring the auditor to the meeting. You don't have to know everything about everything. There are people who are experts in that. So I think bring the service providers that the board has engaged to provide services to the association. Bring them to the board meeting where you're having the review of the audit so that they can speak directly to the board about it. Any place you don't feel that confidence, back yourself up. I refer to it as bring in your posse and try to anticipate. Know yourself well enough to know what you don't feel confident about or what you don't feel you know inside and out and can speak to every aspect of, and bring somebody else to the table who can. So you don't have to be brilliant on everything. It's not possible in our industry. So it's not a failure on your part. It's just bringing those resources to the table to back you up and until you learn more about it.
Absolutely. And the CAI, the Chesapeake chapter, usually has a great seminar that's they call it, I think, stay in your lane, if I do recall, and that's a good one. So that's a great example of that. make sure you're not giving advice or giving answers or giving expert opinion on things that are outside your scope of expertise. So that definitely is important. So it's okay not to know, as long as you can give them of what they can, how they can expect to glean that information and how you're going to get that information for them. Well, guys, you guys have made this really easy because you've not really had too many questions. Does anybody have any questions? And it can be any question, you know, if you're new to the industry, you've got questions about this industry, questions about portfolio management or on-site management. I'm happy to take any and all questions.
Michelle, do you want to talk about how to seek out mentors within the industry and how beneficial those relationships can be?
Well, so, you know, again, joining CAI is huge. Is there, you know, I don't know that, do we have a mentor program specifically? No, I didn't think so. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. So if you join CAI, and again, there are several committees that you can be a part of. Also attending this breakfast seminars or the conferences or the online forums. There are many of us out there that are in various different positions in the industry that are happy and willing to help you along the way. And in fact, I personally get great enjoyment out of lending a helping hand and lending knowledge, and would be willing to not hold your hand, but be a guide there and a sounding board for you for ideas or different types of issues that might arise. And on the online forums, you don't just get one person, you get every person that's part of the forum. So you can pose questions, you can pose, you know, issues that have arisen and get feedback. You can also get examples. So if there's documents that your boards have asked you to kind of draft for them, whether they're committee charters or policies, this organization is wonderful because everyone is willing to share. You don't get that in a lot of organizations. You know, people are kind of closed off and hold close to the vest, you know, their proprietary information. But for community management, everyone is so willing to share their experiences and knowledge, and most of the time there are documents with you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You do have people there that are ready and willing to give you a hand, whether it be just guidance or you know, specific things.
I also think that just food for thought, that, you know, companies don't just pick people. You pick the company you work for. And I think we want to look for companies to work for that are supportive, that have a team atmosphere where you feel you can go to people in your own company for support. I think that atmosphere is really important in our industry, which I think is very hard on people. So I think that, you know, you want to find out about different companies. At just at the same time, you're finding out about different vendors and different ways to be in the industry. I think you should be able to look to the company you're working for some of that support as well.
I agree. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the mentor piece is near and dear to my heart because I actually have someone that's to the left of me, Tiana Harrison, who she used to be a concierge here at my building, concierge manager. She's a portfolio manager now. And she's in the DC area, not a part of the Chesapeake, you know, portion, but it's such an honor to have her here and to have this be the topic that we're talking about. Because although she's not new, she's new. And she's learning a lot at this point, but she's called me a mentor. And I have a mentor, and I don't know everything, but I give her everything I know. Another thing, when you talk about not reinventing the wheel, I'm a part of kind of the DC area managers. It's like 120 of us. And a lot of times we're asking questions, we're sharing information. Especially when I was a part of it, I felt like I was intimidated because I was like, well, man, like these people have been doing this for so much longer than I've been. But what I've come to realize is you don't know how to deal with the situation until you deal with it. So getting that expertise from people who have dealt with things, whether they have the same amount of years as you do or more, is just very helpful. So I've been very grateful for the community that I've been a part of, and I welcome Tiana to that very same community. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And we welcome Tiana too. Welcome to, the step up in the industry. Congratulations. It sounds like you got a promotion, and we're happy for you, and we wish you the best of luck. And we are here if you need help. I know even if you're not a part of the Chesapeake chapter of CAI, you're welcome to reach out to me, especially, and I'm sure I can speak for any other manager on here. We're happy to help you, even if you're not part of the same chapter. We're still all part of the same organization and the same industry, and we work as a team to help one another. Thank you again for sharing that. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Questions, comments, concerns? You guys are quiet. Well, I can tell you it will definitely give you a run for your money. And I'm going to be real honest. If you haven't hit a brick wall yet in this career, you will hit it. I usually hit it once a year, where the challenges arise one after the other. When it rains, it pours. The saying is so true in this industry. If it wasn't for bad timing, sometimes I'm not sure I'd have any timing when things are going wrong. But you have to, in this industry, kind of, my mentor told me, you have to get up in the morning and spray on a coat of Teflon, so that all that negativity that you deal with and all the chaos that you deal with just kind of slides right off, so that you keep your composure and you keep your poise and your professionalism, and you just deal with it one thing at a time. And there are going to be times in this industry where you feel like you are just running in circles because there's just so much happening all at one time. For me, it's usually between March and July. We are run crazy, especially here at Lake Leelanau, because our fiscal year starts March 1, and our huge busy season, because we have 4 lakes and some beaches and trails and dams and all kinds of things. We're prepping for all of that. And at some point, it usually I hit a wall, and I just am not sure where to go. But I promise you, it is worth it if you stick it out. You just have to, again, spray on that coat of Teflon. Take that time that Susan was talking about, that you take for yourself to grow. And even if it's just that day off that you need as a mental break, to say, you know what, I need a minute, because you're going to be a much better manager and provide much better service to your customers if you take those few minutes than if you don't. So make sure that you do that, because and this is not the only industry that is that way, but our industry in particular, it is a 24/7, 365 job sometimes. It's not for everyone, but sometimes. And it can wear on you. And if you don't take those moments, it's not going to benefit you or your customers that you're working for. And certainly not going to benefit your career in the long run. So make sure you do that. Take the time to get the education, take the time to get the designations. They are so important in helping you grow. And as Susan mentioned again, it will help you financially, because the designations certainly equate to dollars in the community management realm. I don't know if we have all portfolio managers on here. We have some on-site managers There is a difference, and I always wondered, how come you don't start with just one community and then move to multiple communities? Well, I can tell you why, because if you started with one, you'd never want to go to multiple. So that's just so you get to graduate to on-site, large-scale management, or whether it's maybe it's a manager for a high-rise building, in DC. That's kind of what you graduate to, because portfolio management is certainly where you learn a lot. You learn a whole lot, and it's very valuable. But definitely, if your end game is on-site management, whether it's for a high rise or a large scale community, you have to get those designations, and they are so important. And doing all that networking and making all those personal connections, they are also extremely important. Because you will make connections with people that you probably won't realize that will ultimately help you grow in this industry. I would also encourage you that if you have the opportunity to attend conferences, to do it. If you can attend the annual conference for CAI, do it. You will make so many great connections and learn so much from other people in our industry. It's very valuable. I got to finally attend a large scale conference, and it was one of the best experiences I've had yet. So I'm very excited to go back. And again, I was able to make a lot of great connections there. And large scale management in particular, or on-site management in particular, making those connections are how you are going to succeed. To be very honest, the average length of someone staying on site at a large scale community is about 6 years. And then you usually end up going somewhere else. And the reason is obviously we work for volunteer boards. Most of us who work on site on a large scale community work directly for an association versus a management company. And if you're working for boards of directors that turn over year after year, it can be quite the challenge to make sure that you stay your course. So making those connections in CAI and throughout the industry are going to be very valuable to you in the end, if that's your goal, is to get to large scale and on site. Well, I will let you get to your lunch. If nobody has any more questions or wants to share any stories or any comments, I thank you so much for your time today. I know this was kind of a rapid fire session. I would encourage you to join the other 2 segments of this series. Again, I think, Susan, are you teaching the next one, or are you teaching the 3rd one? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm doing the next one that's in July. I think it's July 13th.
Wonderful. And Susan, as you could hear today, is a wonderful teacher and has lots of knowledge to share. So I would certainly encourage you to attend that session as well. And then on to the 3rd one in August. And again, if you ever need help, have questions, have concerns, looking for a mentor, please don't hesitate to reach out to CAI, to the chapter, or to any of the managers. I know that there's don't we have a book that tells who's part of the organization? I think we have a catalog of membership, essentially. You can find our contact information in there, and we're all happy to help you as you move forward in your career.
And now you have 2 connections. You have Michelle and you have me. So you can reach out anytime to either one of us, I'm sure.
Well, thank you all again very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Angela, I thank you for Angela, who works for CAI for the chapter, is wonderful, wonderful lady and a wonderful asset to all of us and helps us so very much. So Angela, thank you again for helping us today. And I think that's a wrap.
I would just like to, Angela, I just want to tell you, thank you for answering my late night emails last night.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Michelle. This was a great program, not even for managers, even for me. So I thought it was great.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Michelle.
Take care.
Bye.